Hey, what's up guys? My name is Michael Westbrook, and today I want to give you some tips and tricks for dialing in your Iridium. I also want to let you guys know that I just released a brand new IR pack for 2021. If you want more info on that, check the links in the description. So first I want to give you guys some general tips when dialing in the Iridium, and then we'll get into some more specific tips on each of the models. So to begin with, one really important thing when dialing in the Iridium is choosing the right IR. Now, this is true with amps in general, but choosing the right speaker or the right cab for your amp is one of the most important ways to dial in the sound and dial in the tone that you're looking for. One easy way to find the right IR, or at least start you down the right path, is to choose something that you're used to. If you are used to playing amps with a certain type of speaker, see if you can find an IR with that type of speaker in it. That is going to be a good way to get a good start on the tone that you're used to and that you're looking for. One other important thing to do when you're trying out IRs or you're trying to dial in the tone on the Iridium is to give the IRs a chance. I myself am guilty of this, and I've seen other people do it where they just flip through IRs and they judge them kind of on that initial impression. Now this isn't all bad, but I like to spend a little time with the IR and dial in the amp to that specific IR and see if it's going to get me what I want. For instance, say I pick an IR and it seems really bright and harsh. My first, inclination might be to get to the next one, to change that IR because that one's bright and harsh. But I might find that maybe I just need to dial the treble back. Maybe I need to adjust some settings so that that IR sounds better. And I might find that that gives me some sparkle or some clarity once it's dialed in that I might not be able to find in another IR. So the big idea here is just to give the IRs a chance. Dial in the amps for the IR and see if it's getting you the sound you want. One more general tip before we get into the specifics of each model, but be aware of the volume that you're dialing in your tone. The idea here is that volume affects perceived EQ. Ultimately, I want to do a whole video on this, but I haven't quite found a good way to communicate this. The main important factor is that we hear things differently depending on how loud they are. A good example of this, or one way to demonstrate this, would be to turn up your Iridium really loud, or whatever you're trying to dial in. Turn it up really loud and dial in your tone. Now, I would probably guarantee you that that tone is going to be dialed in slightly darker than it would be if you dialed it in at a lower volume. Because when things are louder, that top end seems harsh. We're going to have the tendency to dial our top end back, dial our highs back a little more than we would if we were dialing it in at a lower volume. So, there's pros and cons to doing both, and it ultimately depends on how you're going to use that tone. If you're playing live in a loud setting, then you want to try to dial in your tones that way. Just be aware of the volume that you're dialing in your tones because it's ultimately going to affect the overall EQ and how things sound. So first we're going to talk about the round model. This is our Fender model, known for great clean tones, but also does some great overdrive. When you're dialing in clean tones, it's key to pick the right IR that has enough top end. This is kind of a darker model, so picking an IR that has a little more top end to it is going to give us those glassy clean tones. Again, spend a little time with the IR. What might initially seem bright might give you the top end that you're looking for once it's dialed in. One way to achieve great overdrive sounds on this model is to use a British style speaker. This is something myself as well as countless others have done through the years with deluxe reverbs. It's put something like a greenback or maybe a vintage 30 in a deluxe reverb. This gives us an American style amp with a British style speaker. It's a really versatile combination and is great for overdrive tones. So if you're looking to dial in some overdrive tones, this might be the ticket for you. As you're dialing in overdrive sounds with the round model, check out how the treble control works past around 3 o'clock or so. I found that it doesn't necessarily make it brighter, but it starts to saturate it even more and in a different way. So, with a darker IR, turning up that treble might give you some different tones and a different style overdrive that you're looking for. So now we're on to our Chime model, which is the classic Vox sound. It's got the sweet top end. This is a great sounding model and really versatile for a lot of different things, from shimmery clean tones to even some great overdrive tones. The key to dialing in this model is really understanding the controls. They work a little differently than the other two models. Our mid control turns into a cut control, which cuts out high end as we turn it up. Also, the bass and treble are really interactive, so that means that there are multiple places that kind of works, that we get a balanced sound. So it takes a lot of experimenting to kind of figure out where you want those. We can turn the bass and the treble all the way down and have our mids a little more present, or as we turn our bass and treble up, we can get a slightly more scooped and open sound. I want to talk a little more about the EQ on the Chime model. It works a lot differently than the other two models and is really the key to its flexibility and versatility. By understanding how it works, you will be able to get a lot of different tones out of this model. Right now, I've got the bass control, the mid knob, and the treble knob turned all the way down. Remember that mid knob is actually a cut knob or a cut control on this amp. And so as we turn it up, we get rid of high frequencies. It cuts high frequencies. I'm on my Strat in the middle position. Here's the sound that we've got going right now. So as you can hear, pretty mid-rangey, nasally, kind of nasty sounding. Let's turn up the bass and treble. When we turn up the bass and treble on this model, essentially what we're doing is turning down the mids. Here's the sound we've got. Now we're starting to hear some of that classic Vox chime. Let's keep going. We'll keep turning the bass and treble up. So as we turn that bass and treble up, we continue to scoop more of those mids out. Now our top end is getting a little harsh, or it could at this point, so we're going to turn up this cut control. A big idea with this is that we have multiple ways to affect our top end. We can either turn up the treble, we can turn down our cut knob or our mid knob there. We can even turn down the bass, and that is going to give us more treble, or we're going to perceive that there is more treble or more top end. Because all of these controls are really interactive, that gives us a lot of flexibility with getting different sounds. And ultimately takes a lot of experimentation to find what we like and where the controls sit best for our ears. I've found for most IRs that are pretty balanced, that don't lean one way or another as far as being dark or bright, I can start with the treble and the cut knob or the mid knob kind of in the same ballpark. So if we both started those at 12 o'clock, they're going to be pretty close to where I like them. You know, maybe I need a little more top end, so I'll turn the treble up, or maybe I turn the cut down. Those are going to affect slightly different frequencies, so you might find that you like doing one or the other a little better. But generally speaking, for me, I've found that having these kind of in the same ballpark works pretty well, because as we turn up the treble, we're getting more high frequencies, but as we turn up the cut, that's going to take some of those high frequencies away. Again, all of these is changing the relationship between the top end and the bass to the mids. It's all really interactive. So experiment with it. Find what you like. Also, don't overlook this model for some great overdrive tones. This model has a lot of gain on tap and can be great for lead sounds or bigger rhythm sounds. In my opinion, that makes this model really versatile for a wide range of tones. Now we're on to the punch model. This is our classic Marshall sound, known for big gain and lead sounds. That being said, don't overlook this model for some great clean tones. One way I found to achieve this is by using an American style speaker IR. I also found on this model that it's a little brighter than some of the other ones, so I did find myself having to dial the treble back a little more, especially on gain sounds. Even though the Iridium only has 3 amps, there is a lot of versatility in this box. By changing out the IRs and using different style IRs for the models, we can get a wide variety of tones. As with any amp or amp modeler, understanding the controls and trying different things and just experimenting is key. I can't tell you how to dial in the perfect sound with your gear, but hopefully some of these tips will help and give you some good things to think about. A quick reminder, I just released a new IR pack for 2021. A lot of these blends and speaker combinations were dialed in specifically for the Iridium. So if you're looking to mix it up or try something new, definitely check out the links in the description. Not only does that give you some great IRs, but it also helps support the channel. So check it out if that's something you're interested in. No pressure. Thanks for watching. All right, until next time, I'll see you out there.